Hey, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to make this beautiful puff stitch stocking. I've partnered with Michaels and I'm using Cozy Wool by Loops and Threads for this tutorial. This is one of my favorite yarns. It is nice and soft, it's bulky and quick. It's a super bulky weight number 6. I'm using the color Fleece for this tutorial. And it's a 50% wool, 50% acrylic yarn. The link will be in the description box on where you can purchase the yarn, and you can also go check out all the other great yarns that are available on michaels.com. Another great option from Loops and Threads, if you would prefer not to use the wool yarn, is Charisma. It is a 100% acrylic yarn, and they have lots of great colors to choose from as well. A little bit more affordable, and it is slightly thinner. It will make your stocking maybe slightly smaller, but it's still a good option if you're looking for a 100% acrylic yarn. You'll need a yarn needle for bulky weight yarn, a 9mm crochet hook, and I've also picked up these cute little chalkboard nameplates from Michaels stores as well, so that we can personalize our stockings. Make sure to hashtag Make It With Michaels to share your crochet stockings with us. Okay, so we're going to begin with a magic ring. So I'm going to wrap the yarn around my index finger 3 times, take my hook, sliding it through all 3 loops, take your first loop and pull it through and chain 2. I won't be including my chain 2 as a stitch in this pattern. Now we'll work 9 half double crochets in the ring. So we're yarning over, go through, pull up a loop. So you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. So work a total of 9 half double crochets. Now to pull your ring tight, push your work out of the way, take your yarn tail, start pulling that yarn tail in. Now it's only going to pull one of those loops. So now the loop that's pulled in, you're going to just take it, give it a tug, it's going to pull the other loop in, take the tail, pull, and now you have a nice tight circle. Now we're going to slip stitch in the first half double crochet to join, so not in the chain. You're going to find those 2 loops, the top of the stitch, and we'll slip stitch to join that up. Now we'll chain 2 and work 2 half double crochets in every stitch around. So going right into that first stitch, you'll work 2, increasing from 9 to 18. I've worked all the way around. Now we'll slip stitch in the top of the first half double crochet to join, chain 2, and we'll do one more increase round. So we'll work a half double crochet in the first stitch, and then 2 half double crochets in the next stitch. So this will be your increase pattern all the way around. We'll do 1 in the next, and then 2 in the next. Working that all the way around. Okay, so we should now have 27 stitches. We're going to slip stitch in the first half double crochet to join, and now we'll begin into our puff stitch pattern. So we'll start with a chain 1, and in the very first stitch we're going to work a puff. Go through the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the stitch, pull up a loop. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yarn over, pull through, chain one, skip a stitch, and then a puff in the next. So yarn over. We're going through, pulling up a loop 3 times. So there's 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through, chain 1. Skip the next stitch, yarn over, go through, pull up a loop. I'm always pulling, as you can see, that loop up to this height. You want to make sure this stays nice and loose, or it's going to be a real pain to make this stitch. So just give them a tug. Give it a tug, yarn over, pull through. If your hook's not going through nice and easy, then you need to get that stitch looser. So chain 1. So we're working these puffs in every other stitch around. Okay, always chaining 1, skipping a stitch, and then working a puff. Okay, so I'm going to continue around. Okay, so I finished working around, ending with a chain 1. I'm going to slip stitch into the first puff to join. And you can count, you should have 14 puff stitches. For this round, I'm going to chain 2. Okay, so I want to get over now this first puff into that first chain 1 space. So I've chained 2 to get myself over rather than just chain 1. And now we'll be working those puffs into the chain 1 space. I didn't quite, see when you see me tug, I didn't quite pull up enough on my stitches. So yarn over, go through, pull up a loop. Pull up a loop, pull up a loop, and chain 1. So it always goes much easier if you take the time to give those loops a tug as you pull them up. So we're chaining 1, we're still doing the puffs, working them around. We are just now working them in the chain 1 spaces. And you want to make sure that you have 14 puffs around. Okay, so this time we're ending because we skipped that first puff. We want to make sure we get a puff right in here, and that's the 14th. I'm still going to chain 1 to secure that, and now this time we're slip stitching in the second chain of the chain 2 to join. Might be a little tight to get your hook through that chain. Okay, we'll chain 1, and now this round we're back to adding the puff in that very first chain 1 space. Okay, so we're just offsetting these puffs as you go each round. Chain 1. Chain 1. Okay, so I'm going to keep going around. I'm going to have 14 puffs, and we're going to just alternate those rows. So we're alternating the row where we start with the puff in that first chain 1 space and alternating with the chain 2 and then skipping over. So what you'll want to do is a total of 6 rounds of the puff stitches before we work the heel opening. So I'm going to continue working this round, and then I'll meet you up again. Okay, so this time around we're stopping here. We started with the puff, so we want to make sure we have a puff right here. So we just continue in that nice offsetting pattern. So this time we'll slip stitch in the top of the first puff to join. And then this round is a chain 2. You always know based on where this puff is, and this puff's right here, we need to get over to the first chain 1 space. So I'm going to continue now working so that I have 6 puff rounds, and then I'll meet you up again. Okay, so I've worked a total of my 6 rounds, and now I am going to do the heel opening in this round. So I'm going to work as usual for a total of 9 puffs. So we're going to chain 1. We'll work 1 in the first. Chain 1 and just work as normal, and I'll meet you up when I've got my 9 puffs done. Okay, so I've worked across 9 puffs. I haven't chained yet. I'm now going to chain 12. Okay, so we're skipping over. And we're going to slip stitch in that first puff stitch to join. Now, because I have a puff right here, I'm going to chain 2. Then we'll work our first puff. Chain 1, and I'm going to work across till I get to the chain. Okay, so I've worked across 8 puffs. I've chained 1. We're skipping this puff, and then we're working into the first chain, a puff. Chain 1, skip a chain, and a puff. And remember, we want to make sure that we have a total of 14 puffs across. Okay, so your last chain, you should have another puff, and then we have a total of 14 all the way around. Chain 1. And I'm going to slip stitch in the second chain of the chain 2. Now we'll be working a puff, chain 1, and a puff in every chain 1 space around. Okay, so I've worked all the way around. I've slip stitched to join. I'm going to chain 2, skip over the first puff, and just continue working. So now this is very straightforward. We're just going to continue working that we have 14 puffs around, and we want a total of all of the puff rows, a total of 18. So if we come right down to the beginning, we had 6, we have 7 for the opening. Here's 8 and 9, and if you want to count even from here up, it'll be 11 rows of puff, but 18 in total. And if we include those first 3 rounds, we're going to have a total of 21 rounds. So it's going to look like this. We're going to continue working. We're going to come back. We'll do the heel at the very end. And after we get all of our puffs, we're going to do a single crochet round, and then we're going to do the join as you go ribbed cuff. Okay, so I am going to just keep working my puff rounds now off camera, and once I have those complete, we're going to meet back up again. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of my ball, and I thought I'll just hop on here quick as I'm working and just show you the thumb join for joining this in. You could also use the Russian join. Just going to clean up that end. But to do the thumb join, I take the yarn that's running out here and I put it between my thumb and index finger. Then I'm going to take in my new yarn, putting it right beside. Now I'm going to wrap with the new yarn around my thumb and the yarn once, twice, and then I'll take the yarn and wrap it down through the yarn and the tails. I'm just going to take the tails, I'm going to tuck them under. I just squeeze and pull, and it just makes a knot. So it's just sort of a quick and easy way to get that joined up and keep going. Okay, so I have worked a total, counting from here up, 11 puff rows in total, 18. And now what we're going to do is single crochet around. So we'll chain one. We need to add a single crochet, single crochet in the puff, single crochet in the chain one space, single crochet in the puff. Okay, and we're just working that all the way around, just like that. Okay, and I'm ending with 27 stitches. So you want to make sure that you work around a total of 27. I'm just going to double check my count. So that's 27, but I typically like to do ribbing in an even number. So I'm going to do another stitch. We're going to have a total of 28 right here in the top of that puff. So now I'll slip stitch to join. And the ribbing I would like to be a total of 14 stitches. So we need to chain out 15. Okay, and then we're going to work a single crochet in the second chain from the hook and in each chain across. So now we'll have 14 stitches down this chain. We're going to be doing a join as you go ribbing around the top of the stocking. I just wanted to show you this cozy Sherpa. You could definitely swap out the ribbed band and do some fur, which looks really nice and cozy as well. This is a limited time only, so you want to go check out Michael's to see if they have any of this left. So I'm in Canada, so I purchased it from Canada in the store for $11.99. It will probably be available in your American stores as well. You can check through the link in the description box to see on their website under loops and threads if you can find any of this nice fur yarn, or definitely go check in the stores. Okay, so once you've worked all the way down, you're going to have a total of 14 stitches, and we're going to skip that very first stitch right attached to the slip stitch, okay? And we're going to slip stitch in the next two. For every row, we need to slip stitch into this base of the stocking. Now I'm going to turn my work, and to do a nice ribbing, I like to crochet in the back loop only, so a single crochet in the back loop. So we're going to skip over those first two slip stitches that we made along the base, and then we're going back to the rib section, and we'll work single crochets through the back loop only. You'll work up a total of 14 stitches. You'll chain one and turn, and then continue working single crochets through the back loop. Okay, so at the top here, we're chaining one, turning, and continuing to work back down. Single crochets in the back loop. Okay, I've worked down 14 stitches. Now you can see I've slip stitched into this single crochet. So we're going to slip stitch into the next two now. Okay, and we're going to be repeating row 2 and 3 completely around. Now when we get to the end, we're only going to end up with one final slip stitch because we already started with that first row and I have an even number. So we'll end up that we are at the end up at the top for the last row. So if you count your rows, you should end up with a total of 28 as we work all the way around. So I'm just going to keep working my rows, slip stitching them to the base. And once I have my 28 rows complete, I'll meet back up with you and we can slip stitch it together. Okay, so I've worked all the way around. I have 28 rows. It's really easy to count. Just count by twos the ridges. You should have 28. And now we're going to slip stitch the band together. So I'm going to chain one, just line up the band. We're going to go through the back loop only and over to the starting chain. Work a slip stitch. And you're going to just do that all the way down. Okay, so once you get down, we're going to fasten off and we can weave in this tail. Need a yarn needle for bulky yarn. When you're weaving, you just want to go one way and then back in the opposite direction to secure your tail. You can just give it a stretch to give it its shape. Okay, so the next step will be to finish off our heel. You want to count across your stitches. I have 12, and so I'm joining into the 7th stitch, so I'm joining into the center. So there'll be 6 stitches this side, 6 stitches this side. So your toe is facing, your opening, or your toe is facing down and the opening is facing you. So we'll join in, chain one, and work a single crochet. And we'll work across 6. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then we will have a single crochet in the corner. And then this was our chain 12. We'll have 12 stitches across. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We want 1 stitch in the corner. And then we're going to work across 6 stitches. Okay, so 12 and 12 is 24, plus 2, you should have 26 stitches. We'll slip stitch in our first single crochet to join and chain 1. Okay, so now we're going to work across 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to work 3 together. So we'll go through the first stitch, pull up a loop, go through the next stitch, pull up a loop, go through the next stitch, pull up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pulling through all 4. Now we'll work across 10. Then we'll do 3 together again. So we'll go through, pull up a loop, go through the next stitch, pull up a loop, through the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 4. You should be ending with 5 stitches. And we'll slip stitch in the first single crochet to join. Chain 1. Now we're going to keep doing the same thing for each decrease round. We'll have 1 less stitch before we do the decrease. So now we'll have 4. We had 5 last time. So now we'll do 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then again we'll do 3 together. Okay, and then when we get to the longer section, it's 4 plus 4 is 8. So 2 less than the last round. And this is how we're going to continue to decrease the heel. So I've worked across 8. We'll do 3 together. And then 4 remaining stitches. And we'll slip stitch to join. Chain 1, this time we'll do 3, then 3 together, 6, then 3 together, and 3. So 3 and then 3 together, we'll do 6 and so on and work that around. Okay, I finished with 3, slip stitch to join, and this time we're going to do 2. And then 3 together, and then 4, 3 together, and 2. And just work that all the way around. So 3 together, then do 4, 3 together, and 2. Okay, so you should be ending with 10 stitches. We're going to slip stitch to join. And I'm going to fasten this off. You can take your yarn needle. We're just going to close up the heel now. You can weave through every other stitch around, close that up, or you can go through the front loops only. Either way is fine. Okay, and then we're just going to weave. Continue to weave the yarn just to pull this closed. So weave one way and then back in the opposite direction. Okay, so I now have the heel complete. I'm just going to give it a measure. It's about 18 inches. by about 7 inches. So I used exactly 2 balls of yarn. I would suggest getting an extra ball just to be on the safe side. Plus, if you have extra, then you can make some pom-poms for your stockings. So if you were making 2, I would say maybe get 5 balls, and then you'd have enough left over if you run out, and you can make some pom-poms with the extras. Now you can either do a little chain hanger for your stocking. So you could do it like this, just do a little like chain 10 and slip stitch that, or we can add a tag as our hanger as well. So you would just take this, just like we do the hats, and add that on. Okay, so your stockings are finished just like this, or we can add some pom-poms. So let's make a few pom-poms and add those. So I'm gonna go into this next ball of yarn. I'm gonna take my pom-pom maker. So you want a maker that's going to do anywhere from a 2.5 to 3.5 inch size is fine. I'm gonna take our yarn and fill up the arms. The pom-poms tend to come out a little bit bigger the more you fill. That up, and then we'll do the same thing to the other side. You want to make sure that you cover about the same amount of yarn on each, put the same amount of yarn on each side. Okay, so next what you're going to do is in the grooves of the pom-pom maker, we're going to start cutting the yarn. So once you've cut all that, you're going to take a long strand of yarn and you're going to place it through the grooves of the pom-pom maker. Go through once, go back through a second time, and that's going to secure your knot as you pull it tight. Okay, and then we're just going to do the same thing to the other side. I like to give it a good shake. And then just trim to make sure it has your nice pom-pom shape. Normally I don't have to do a whole lot of trimming. This one needs a little bit more. Could just be the bulky yarn. Okay, and if you want, you can add some beads. These are 20mm beads. And you can really string as many as you want. So really as much as you want the pom-pom to hang down. There's There's 3. I like to do 5 on one and 3 on another, just so we have different heights. You can then just attach it right to the front of your stocking. Give that a knot, weave in those tails. And I'm just gonna go ahead and make another one. So I finished the stocking, added my pom-poms. I did 3 beads and 5 beads. So you could add your chalkboard name plate to your stockings. This is another fun idea. I picked up these craft beads. I really loved the gold color of them, and you could have some fun stringing your child's name, or if you're making it for someone, you could put their name on it and string that down as well. It's just another little fun idea for personalizing your stocking. But I have a bunch of these little nameplates that I'm just going to use, and I will just hook it when I hook up their stocking. Okay, so I wanted to show you how it looks by attaching the little names onto the sides of the stockings. So I just used some embroidery thread and a needle. So what you're going to do is just thread the embroidery thread through the bottoms, and then you come back with your thread through the tops. And then you can just tie and then just sew on your name tag. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell to stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials.